All right, let's talk about a drink you might not know, but you absolutely should. Pulque. It's this milky, kind of funky, fermented drink right from the heart of Mexico. And its story? It's wild. We're talking over 1,000 years of history, from being the drink of gods to almost disappearing completely, and now it's making this incredible comeback.
So that's the big question, right? How does a drink that was literally reserved for gods and kings just vanish? It's a crazy story of culture clash, of conquest, and some pretty serious competition. And the whole thing kicks off with one amazing plant.
You're looking at the maguey plant. When the Spanish showed up, they called it the Tree of Wonders, and for good reason. I mean, this thing was like a one-stop shop for ancient Mesoamerican life. You needed rope, it gave you fiber. Needles, it gave you spines. A roof over your head, the leaves worked for that too. But its most precious, most sacred gift, that was the sweet sap, the agua miel, that comes right from its core.
Okay, so to really get Pulque, we have to rewind the clock, way back. Back to a time when this stuff wasn't just a beverage, it was a direct line to the divine.
Yeah, exactly. You couldn't just, pop down to the local pub for a pint of Pulque. Not a chance. Back then, it was called octi, and drinking it was a very big deal. Super controlled, super regulated. It was for special people at special times.
And I mean really exclusive. Look at this list. We're talking priests, rulers, the big shots who used it to communicate with the gods. Honored warriors got it, pregnant or nursing women too, probably for its nutritional kick, and get this, the elderly. Once you hit 52, which was a huge milestone in their calendar, you could drink as much as you wanted. But for your average person, no way. Getting drunk on this stuff outside of a specific ritual could get you in some serious trouble.
And right at the heart of it all was the goddess Mayahuel. Now, she wasn't just the goddess of the maguey plant. In their beliefs, she was the plant. She embodied fertility, nourishment, and the pulque itself, that was considered her sacred blood, a literal life-giving force. But of course, this sacred world couldn't last forever. The 16th century rolls around, the Spanish arrive, and, well, everything changes. The sacred world of pulque is about to smash head-on into a totally new reality. Commerce, and this shift was just night and day. The old Mesoamerican societies crumbled, and this drink, once so restricted and holy, suddenly became commercialized. It went public. Pulquerias, basically pulque taverns, started popping up everywhere, and for the first time, anyone could drink it. And you can bet the new colonial bosses were not happy about that. Cue the moral panic. I mean, just listen to this. This is a 17th century scholar, and you can practically hear him sputtering with rage. He calls pulque detestable and blames it for, well, everything. Robberies, deaths, sacrilege, and then he mentions other much greater abominations. Wow, this wasn't just disapproval. It was an all-out war on the drink's reputation. But here's the twist, the great irony. While all the priests and officials were publicly trashing pulque, calling it the devil's brew, the Spanish crown was quietly getting rich off it. The sales tax on pulque was a gold mine. So did they ban it? Of course not. Why ban something that's making you so much money? They just condemned it, regulated it, and taxed the heck out of it. So this weird, hypocritical situation goes on for centuries. But then we get to the late 1800s, early 1900s, Mexico's modernizing, and pulque is about to face its biggest threat yet. A series of attacks that nearly wiped it off the map for good.
This is where we get the Leyenda Negra, the Black Legend. A totally vicious smear campaign. And who is probably behind it? The new guys on the block, the beer companies. They started spreading these horrible rumors. The worst one, the one that really stuck, was that pulque makers used something called a muñeca, a little bag supposedly filled with feces, to make it ferment faster. I know, it's disgusting, and it was a complete lie, designed to make you sick just thinking about pulque.
But the reality couldn't be more different. This is a tentacle, a real pulque production space. Look how clean and controlled it is. Fermenting pulque is a delicate, almost scientific process. Anyone who actually makes it will tell you any kind of contaminant, let alone that, would completely destroy the batch. The whole thing is just too sensitive. That myth wasn't just wrong, it was impossible. Pure, calculated slander.
So who cashed in on this black legend? You guessed it, the massive new beer industry. They came in with tons of money, big factories, and a slick marketing campaign. Beer was modern, it was progress, it was hygienic. And the ultimate irony? A lot of these new beer companies, like Moctezuma, slapped ancient Aztec names on their bottles while their product was killing off a genuinely pre-Hispanic tradition.
And boy, did it work. The impact was absolutely devastating. Just look at these numbers from Hidalgo, a huge Pulque region. In a single decade, from 1960 to 1970, production didn't just dip, it fell off a cliff, down by more than 72%. Think about that. In just 10 years, it was nearly gone. The drink of the gods was officially on the brink of extinction.
But the story doesn't end there, because what's happening right now is this amazing comeback story. A whole new generation is digging back into their roots and rediscovering Pulque, not just as a drink, but as a piece of their identity.
And when you look at how it's made, it's so beautifully simple, so natural. You take the sweet sap, the aguamiel, you add a little bit of a starter from the last batch. They call it the semilla, or seed. And then you just let it do its thing. It's a live fermentation, always changing, and it's ready in about a day. And here's what's really cool. Science is finally proving what ancient people probably knew all along. Modern studies are showing that fresh pulque is loaded with good stuff. Probiotics, prebiotics, all the things that are great for your gut. It's got vitamins, minerals, even proteins. So that unhygienic drink from the black legend? Turns out it's basically a superfood. How about that for a plot twist? And you can see this revival everywhere. It's not just a vibe, it's real. We're seeing old school pulquerias packed again. But it's also showing up in unexpected places. Top chefs are using it in modern cooking, in sauces, to bake bread, as a marinade. It's finding new life both inside the glass and on the plate.
But at its core, this isn't just a fad. It's a powerful act of reclaiming culture. For a lot of young people in Mexico, choosing pulque is a way to connect with their heritage, to push back against a globalized one-size-fits-all culture. And that's why there's a serious push to give it a denomination of origin, to protect it, to certify it, just like its cousins, tequila and mezcal.
So that brings us to the future. And the crazy thing is, the comeback of pulque might just be the beginning. The maguey plant itself has so much more to offer.
Remember how the Spanish called it the Tree of Wonders? Well, that name is coming back in a huge way. Scientists are looking at this plant and seeing a sustainable future. They're figuring out how to turn its fibers and waste into biofuels, bioplastics, not to mention all the food products. It's the definition of a circular, waste-nothing resource.
So that leaves us with one last question to chew on. After all of this, the gods, the conquests, the lies, the near-death experience, pulque is back. But what is it now? Is it just a cool retro taste of Mexico's past? Or is this Tree of Wonders actually a key to building a more sustainable, more authentic future? Something to think about.